live. Preparing the live stream meeting.
Got it.
There is so much buildup to this. There's a huge load.
The suspense, the buildup.
Oh, good.
All right, we are live. We are here. We are doing it. I am excited. We have got Robert Burr from the Miami Rum Festival with us tonight. So I am super excited to have this going tonight. If you guys are coming in, make sure that you say hello. Let us know that you're here. We do have the chat box going. So if you have questions throughout, you are more than welcome to put them there. Let us know you're in there. Let us know what you're drinking tonight. And of course, we are super, super excited to have Robert Burr here with us tonight to talk a little bit about not only the Miami Rum Festival, but also a rum cruise, Rob's Rum Guide. We got a bunch of stuff
going on. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about tonight.
And a little known fact that a lot of people don't know is when we started off and kicked off in 2019, Robert Burr was actually, the Miami Rum Fest was where we got our start. We had 7 subscribers. We had 7 subscribers when we started in 2019.
When we left, we had 9.
We had 9 when we left the Miami Rum Fest in 2019. So we were brand spanking new.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's where it was our roots too, and where we started learning. So Robert, thank you for joining us and hanging out with us.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
No, and listen, it's great to talk with 3-year-olds, you know.
That's exactly right.
That's about right.
You guys are 3 years into rum. And what I love about what you're doing is you have more fun than anybody else, and rum is fun. But also, you know what? You're bringing people along with you, because you don't come from the point of view of knowing everything. You are discovering stuff, and you're sharing the discovery and goofing around and having fun, and you're truly excited about rum as some of us crazies are. And that's just what's so delightful about having met you guys and watching what you do.
Well, thank you so much. We really sincerely appreciate that.
Yeah. No, so I mean, obviously we came down. We were brand new, had no idea what to expect. We got in there and realized
what an experience it was.
All the rum that was down there. And so it sounds like over the years you have had a couple of rums along the way, right? Maybe a few here and there.
Here's the thing. You never miss a chance to try some rums. And what we just do, I do what I would want someone else to do, you know, if I get somebody else to do it. But that is to be able to go in and meet some nice people who make rum and try their rum and shake their hand and say, nice job, keep up the good work, God bless you. And let me help you, find some people who might like your rum, but never miss a chance. I mean, so there's 3 things you can do. One is that, if you really have the resources, you go into a liquor store and you just buy all sorts of stuff and try it. The other thing is, if you can go to a festival or some sort of a thing where they're serving a lot of different rum, you're going to start finding some stuff you don't like and some stuff you really do like, and expanding your horizons, with your own senses, right? Your own sensibility, what you like. The third thing is, if you visit distilleries, then you really get to do a deep dive into a particular rum style and brand and how they do it. And that is the most enlightening thing. So never miss a chance to do these sort of things. It doesn't matter whether it's, our rum festival or anything else, or just a nice rum tasting at a liquor store or a bar near you. Do it,
I think those are some very good words of wisdom right there. I do have a question. So,
sure.
I mean, out of all your years of experience, because I mean, we're still newbies compared to you, right?
Yeah. Well,
and have you ever found really a rum company that they do it the same as another rum company? Because to us, it seems like all the distillers that we've talked with, all the distiller tours that we've taken, it seems like they all do their own little twist on their product, which I think is really...
They come at it from a different way.
Right.
And then when you add in the level of rum going back so far in history and every island being more separate than they are now. We all fly around, but back in the day, in the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, people lived on an island all their life and never left it.
Right.
And their whole culture was there. And the way they made rum was a certain way that they, evolved to liking certain kinds of rum, and they had certain equipment and they had certain resources, and their rum tastes like this. And now people can compare more. Like, people can buy yeast from yeast houses and And you can be in St. Lucia and have a hybridized yeast similar to what someone has in Dominican Republic or something. But when we go back to the styles that developed and evolved naturally, it has so much to do with culture, style, preference, proclivities, and what you had to work with. And so no, the answer is no. You'll never really see two distilleries that do it the same way. You take someone like John at Just Rum, he comes at it from a really unique angle, and I just love hearing him talk.
Oh yeah, we do too.
Yes,
totally unpretentious. There's a guy down here that has a distillery called Sugar Sands. All right, and he's like, he was a fertilizer salesman, and he bought a citrus grove that was kind of not doing well, and he pulled out the citrus and he planted cane in a sandy soil. Well, I've never heard of anybody planting cane in sandy soil. It's usually kind of muck, or a moist soil. And what he did is he ran these little black tubes and made like a hydroponic system with a little bit of fertilizer in there, and his cane grows like crazy. And every day he cuts enough cane to crush some and make a batch in his pot still. And he doesn't know that he's one of the last guys doing it the way it was done 300 years ago. Everything else is now much more industrial, business-like. And here he is just growing some cane in sand, cutting a little bit, crushing it every day, and making a pot still batch.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's just doing his thing, right?
It's so cool. He comes at it and he doesn't know how other people do it. It's just, this makes sense to him. And later on, he's got other people coming in, and there was a guy named Johnny who came in and helped him make a batch, and they learned from each other, but and I know that John is learning a lot as he goes at Just Rum. And so it's the same. I think there are 42, and I'm probably wrong, distilleries in Florida, and every one of them comes at it from a different angle.
Mm-hmm. That is so cool. That is so cool.
Some of them have access to fresh cane and really good molasses, and other people have to send away from far away to get good molasses, so just all depends on all those angles, right?
Right.
It does.
So speaking of John from Just Rum, he's actually hanging out with us in the chat tonight.
Hey, John.
Oh, yeah.
How you doing there, buddy?
Big hello to him.
What a cool guy.
Right?
He is.
We're gonna make him have a huge head now.
Oh,
Now
It's gonna be unbearable now.
No, I love it. I know.
He has so many good stories, and I just love, his uncle gave him a still and he figured out how to work it, and then he's talking to his accountant, and the accountant says, well, you got blackberries, you could change your zoning to agriculture and pay no taxes. So he's like, yeah, let's do it. So hey, guess who's got blackberry rum? So and it's really good. And also, here's a guy who doesn't know what he doesn't know, and he goes and gets a guy to make barrels for him out of maple wood.
Yeah.
And the first 7 guys he went to said, you can't make barrels out of maple wood. The last guy said, I'll do it, but they'll leak. And he's like, do it, so, and it's so unique. So anyway, that's just examples of how wonderful it is to meet and know these people.
Oh yeah, right. We completely agree with you 100%.
And one of the best places we have found to do that is obviously at a rum festival. Yes. So you having the Miami Rum Renaissance Festival down in Miami, that's coming up here November 12th and 13th, correct?
That's right, middle of November, yeah.
So that's right around the corner. So the people, go
ahead. So the 12th and the 13th. Tell us what you got going on the 12th.
Okay, so on the 12th. We're doing a deep dive into how rum has been made in Barbados for 300 or 400 years. So what we'll do is we'll start out with the cane breeding station, which is one of only 2 in the world. There's a famous one in Java. Where is it? Somewhere in Indonesia. And then there's the one since 1888 in Barbados, where they've been studying the DNA of cane. And you know what? They're worried, and they should be, that if everybody grows the same cane and then there's some sort of a bug or a disaster, you lose it all. And so they're very interested in the DNA of cane and what's a sturdy cane. Like in some islands like Haiti, people steal cane around the edges of the field and they eat it. They're hungry. So they tend to make a cane that's as hard as wood.
Oh, really?
And it hurts your teeth if you try to chomp it. And so that's important to them. They want a cane that fits their need. Now, other people want a softer, juicier, sweeter cane, a cane that grows just right in their particular settings. And listen, the setting can be different on another side of a hill, on an island. There's islands that make their own weather, and there's one side of the island that rains all the time, and the other side is not. And so the cane that you grow has to be exact. There's a guy in Georgia, Eric Vonk, with Richland Rum. And he's another guy that didn't know what he didn't know. He started planting cane in Georgia, and he found, like, I think from the guys at Georgia Tech, they had some intelligence on cane that used to be grown in Georgia back 150 years ago, and it's more cold tolerant, you know, and the DNA is made for that region that he's in, and he's had great success with that, growing his own cane, making his own syrup, making his own rum. Like, I wonder if he knew that he's doing what they did 200 years ago. You know,
right.
Grow your own, you make your own. You know, if you get a chance to go to Barbados and you see St. Nicholas Abbey, they've got 400 acres of cane. They crush it in an old steam crush that's like from, I don't know, 100 years ago. I mean, they used to have a windmill that ran around, you know, and crush the cane. And so they reduce it into syrup, and they make their own rum in a pot still from their own cane. That's about as Barbados as you can get. Now, most of the guys in Barbados, you know, they're just importing molasses, and that's great. You need a lot of molasses to make a lot of rum. But whenever you have an estate product where the cane was planted and harvested, and in many cases you reduce that juice down to a syrup because it becomes stable. You know, the juice goes down like if you take a bite of an apple and it turns brown, you know.
Right.
So you've got to reduce that down to a honey-like texture, and then it won't go bad, and you can make rum all year. That's what they do at St. Nicholas Abbey. But again, it's so fascinating to see all of these different parameters, the kind of still they use, the kind of barreling they do, the way they blend. They've got a column and a pot or whatever, you know. Everybody's different. And your brain eventually gets trained to say, like, okay, this is how they do it. Say in Appleton, you know, they've got their cane, they do this, and they use this kind of pot still, and they blend it this way with this kind of a column, and they put it in these barrels, and here's what they're going for, and then it tastes exactly the way it should, according to what they're doing. Or I'll just tell you one more real quick, and that is in Grenada. You have River Antoine, which I swear to you, you have to go there. It's like going back to 1785. They light a fire under their pot still with just some wood. They've got a water wheel coming down the hill, and there's crushed cane everywhere. The bagasse, after you crush it, it's just everywhere. It's everywhere. And so and they have, you've seen probably old copper pots that they would stir, you know, the cane juice until it was a thick syrup. Well, there's a little house with these copper pots all in a row going slightly uphill a little bit, and there's some guy that has to go down underneath in the basement and keep these fires going. All right, so this is crazy. And they have these really long handles with little buckets on the end, like, you know, and these people sit there and they just churn this stuff, and then they move it to the next bucket, right? And then that guy churns it. And this is like 1785. This is how they made rum, and they haven't changed. And
they're still doing it that way today.
Right. And when all of that reduced cane syrup goes into a vat, right? And then they store that, and they add some water and yeast, and they put it in their simple pot still with a wooden fire under it. I don't know how you get the temperature exactly right, but this is what they do. And then when it comes out of there, it just goes through a pipe into a little room, into a reservoir, and they test it with a hydrometer. And if it's 75% or better, that's good. If it's 72, they send it back around again and redistill it. And then the filling station is, no kidding, a Home Depot Igloo water, you know, one of those 5-gallon water, and they fill a bottle at a time, and they screw the cap on, you know, and so there's nothing high tech about this place at all. But meanwhile, down the street is the Renegade Distillery, which is maybe the most modern one in the whole Caribbean. So you can go to Grenada and see both of these places just a mile or two apart, or maybe a little more. I don't remember exactly, but so close to each other and so different centuries.
So Rob, I've got all kinds of questions going through my head. Number one is going to be related to the cane. How many different species of cane do you suppose there is?
I couldn't say, but I do know that different islands have settled in to ones, and I'm thinking to myself that there are 6 species of cane you can use to make rum agricole in Martinique. You know, there's a black cane, a red cane, you know, they have different.
Each island has a lot of different species of cane, if you will. Correct.
It's more than that. It's whatever they imported and grew for a while, and that's where we're going to learn more in the seminar from the cane a culture lab.
Yes,
all of these these subtleties, and over the many years, taking 2 or 3 different canes and trying to get the best qualities from each one. You know, like the way orchids are bred. You know, and it goes back. Well, all sorts of crops, right? Mm-hmm. All the citrus that we know is hybridized from some wild, crazy citrus that was in the wild at one point in time, right? And so you look for crossing the qualities that are just right for your purpose. And so it's fascinating to hear from these guys at the cane breeding station. I don't know if they've ever done a seminar before. So when we start with that, we're going to get a real feeling for the sugar cane, and then we're going to go on to fermentation, which I think is probably underappreciated, and all flavor in rum. And don't we love flavor, right? Mm-hmm. All those subtleties, the fruitiness, the funkiness, the vanillas, the almonds, the
leathers,
it's all built in fermentation. So if you're Bacardi or Don Q and you're trying to make a very light, maybe almost vodka-like rum, you want a quick fermentation, you want that stuff to boil up, and you want that to be over in 30, maybe 40 hours. If you're Worthy Park or Hampton Estate and you want, or Long Pond, and you want super funky, juicy fruit, wild ass, crazy rum, you're going to let that go for 3 weeks or more.
No kidding.
And okay, we joke around, but throw in a goat's head or a bunch of old fruit or what, get some bacteria in there to compete with the yeast. So, but then this is how they did it. This is how they do it. And you can take a little bit of that really crazy rum and put it in a drink, and it sort of takes over the drink. So sometimes you want a drink that's got bold flavor. You want to look at those kind of rums. And listen, I'll tell you something. 10 years ago, nobody wanted that kind of rum.
Right.
Rum keeps changing. And they make rum wherever you go. I don't care what anybody says, that the rum isn't the same anywhere as it used to be. They make rum whatever they think people want. There was a time when Jamaicans were making Cuban style rum. And there was a time in Cuba where the big heavy Jamaican style rums, they didn't want that anymore. So it's all a moving target. Yeah. And you see this. If people want to sell their rum, it's a business. And if a certain kind of rum is popular, look, like right now, Hampton Estate, funky place, right? Long Pond, really funky. Their rums were used in many things, even perfumes and different things. And for example, in Europe, in Germany, they would take their own neutral spirit and add 5 or 6% crazy ass funky Jamaican rum, and it would taste like rum. So it's such a strong persistence of flavor in those super high ester rums that a little bit poured into neutral spirit turns it into rum. I mean, in their mind, So that way you don't have to import very much rum from Jamaica. You just really
okay. So I've got a couple more questions.
So before you get there too, I just want to remind everybody in the chat, we got chats going through here. Everybody's talking. You guys are amazing. You guys are the best rum community ever, right? We love you. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you let other people know that we're talking on
that
here.
That
you're here. We just want to remind everybody of that, but we appreciate you being here. And if you have any questions along the way, throw them in the chat. I am checking in just to see if there's any questions thrown here. So I just want to remind you of that.
Okay. So
let you get back.
Can I go ahead? Okay, so
well, I can interrupt you again.
Well, you can.
Times.
I know you oftentimes do.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Anyhow, so we're talking about cane juice and molasses. Okay, so here's my question, because I mean, again, we are not as educated in the rum industry as what you are, and so I'm just curious. A question, listening to
and as you say that too, for reference, how long have you been drinking rum? What's your experience in years? We're at 3.
Well, officially, I mean, I in high school I had a bit of a reputation for throwing some good parties.
There you go. Okay. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
The thing is all balanced. All right. So you look in the fridge. What do you got? You got some citrus, you got some, maybe you got some honey or a little maple syrup or whatever you got. Let's make it balanced, and let's pour enough rum in there till it starts to sing and vibrate. And, not too much, because, we don't want to kill anybody, but you can sort of just find your way. There's the old saying, which my son loves, and it's 1 of sour, 2 of sweet, 3 of strong, 4 of weak. So the weak could be juice, it could be iced tea. Listen, in colonial America, every group had a famous secret punch recipe.
Oh yeah,
where it would be black tea with raspberry and some ginger and then a bunch of rum and cognac and they served huge amounts of people. As a matter of fact, and we should probably bring this back. It used to be that every town had a public house and a church, and those were 2 buildings you could walk into, anytime. And the public houses where people met and planned revolutions and voted. And people voted, and it was not unusual for a candidate to be at the public house with a big vat of rum and say, "Hey, Jones, how you doing, buddy? Hey, have a little rum and vote." Who are you going to vote for? So I don't know. Maybe we could bring this back, and it would just.
I hope so. We are petitioning for this.
We are on board.
Yeah. So you're voting for punch, basically. Okay. The guy's a crook. He's an idiot, but he makes great punch.
So I love it. So if you had to put a number of years, just as a reference, where's your experience at?
50 years.
50 years experience, which is a little bit more than 3.
It is a little bit more
than 3,
a little bit more,
but, right?
I mean,
we've had rums before, but we didn't really start going down.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've got a little bit more.
I mean, you're 23, I'm 21, so I mean, you got a couple years on me. So yes,
thank you for that.
29 if he's a day. Come on.
Right?
Yeah, but who's counting? They're just numbers, right?
But also, we did.
Hang on. So I do have a question, a serious question for you.
Sure. Okay.
So cane juice and molasses. Okay, there is obviously a difference, right? So I want to make sure that everybody understands cane juice is reduced down to molasses, correct?
No, not exactly. No, there's another step in between. Remember, what everybody wanted was not molasses. Molasses is leftover garbage.
Right.
What everybody wanted was crystal sugar.
Okay.
So here's what you do as you reduce your fresh cane juice. Mm-hmm. Right. Then you're going to use a centrifuge and other different techniques to crystallize that and to pull out the crystals. Now, if you're very efficient at pulling out the crystallized sugar out of sugarcane juice reduced, you're going to leave nothing left but molasses, and that's what molasses is. It's what's left over after the bounty of crystal sugar. Now, imagine for a minute, the Caribbean was so wealthy. People owned plantations, had never been to them from Europe, right?
Yep.
But to be able to produce sugar and take that to Europe was an extremely exotic, wonderful, outrageous thing. And then, of course, the molasses was left over. What do we do with it? You put it in the cattle feed, you dump it in the field, you make the slaves drink it. I mean, and then 1 or 2 of these slaves said, well, if you add a little water and leave it sitting around, the yeast comes and it turns into kind of a brew. And so, next thing you know, molasses has a purpose.
Okay.
Let's make rum out of it. Now, in Martinique, there was a sudden change in everything. The Martinique families, the plantations were making money hand over fist, selling their sugar to France and French colonies. When a guy came up with a way to get sugar out of beets, and beets could be grown in cold climates in the dirt, and you didn't have to like have a plantation in the tropics to do it. So next thing you know, there was just this hubbub, and the guys in Martinique were like, no one's buying our sugar, and we lost our subsidy, and screw it, we're just going to make rum out of the juice. And so their history, and they got steered because of economic issues into making their rum a whole different way. Whereas others were still taking the sugar out first, and if they could make a little money on the rum, fine, but the sugar was the money.
Right.
Okay.
And so now sugar is dirt cheap on the world market now, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Exactly. So I do have another question. So if you had, like, for example, 100 gallons of cane juice, how many gallons of molasses could you make out of that 100 gallons of cane juice?
I was told there would be no math.
Okay, so it's
look at him quizzing on math right now.
I would say that
we agreed to no math, but
you're reducing down to 12 or 15% of the original water volume. Just as a rough number, and it could be even more reduction until it's stable. Like honey, as we all know, honey is never going to go bad. You don't have to refrigerate it. It's so concentrated that microbes can't live in it. They can't reproduce. But as soon as you water it down, like when you make mead, note for those who didn't know, mead is watered down honey with yeast in it. Turns into a wine, 6 or 8%. And then if you distill it and get the alcohol out and take away some of the water, you have mead, which is just a lovely, lovely product. And thank you to the bees for the honey. So, but this magical plant that's full of sugar, it's just amazing, isn't it? And then the yeast in the air all around us everywhere do their part.
Right.
And then another important thing that sort of happened just by accident was that when you built a still out of metal, what metal did you choose? You chose a metal that you could hammer into a shape that you liked. We'll choose copper. Gold is too soft. Steel, forget it. And copper has a wonderful quality of neutralizing sulfur compounds. So that's why copper stills, you want to have what's called a reflux, where the alcohols and all of the vapors, they go up and they condense and go down again. So they do this dance over and over again. Then some escapes, out to but that reflux back and forth in copper changes sulfur compounds to where they're no longer volatile and they don't come out the top. Isn't that lovely? So then you have a wash in the end that's a lot more sulfurous.
Yes.
And there's a pretty good amount of sulfur in molasses. So you want to have that. So accidentally, I don't know, how did you make your still? I made mine out of copper. Hey, your rum tastes good. So, and then the last thing, of course, is that back in the old days, you put everything in a wooden barrel. You put nails, you put gunpowder, you put dead people, you put, crackers,
everything.
And so what do you do with your rum? You put it in a friggin' wooden barrel. And then it's just like you're sailing around, a month or two, and it's like, is it just me, or is this friggin' rum getting better the longer it sits in this barrel?
So that's something we've been trying to figure out. It seems like the more rum you drink, the better it gets. I'm not sure.
I mean, we have a pretty good conversation going in here right now. I love it. So we got some conversations between Rob, obviously your son, who's going to be our guest next week.
Yes.
Next week.
He's crazy. So
talking about here. So we're talking about the according to Paul from Drums and Rums has joined us too.
Oh wow.
Hey,
Paul.
Just as a heads up.
What a nice guy he is.
Oh, yes. He is. He's awesome.
But they're talking about, and I lost it here, but they're talking about the beet sugar, doesn't make it technically rum, not according to the government, right? And using that, they're all kind of like debating here. Beating the sugar, the beet.
People are gonna make booze out of whatever they got. Sorghum is grown, in the South, and they make sorghum molasses. And okay, you can't call it rum, but it doesn't mean people can't make booze out of it.
That's right.
That's anything with sugar in it is fair game, basically.
Yep.
Yes. So I just think that's really awesome. So obviously we learn a ton of stuff, and we're doing this. This is what's awesome, and you learn so much too. So we were talking about November 12th. You're gonna have a seminar. talking about that process of the distillation process, kind of all of that, which is going to be really cool. Now on the 13th, what's the next step in this festival? What's day 2 look like for you guys?
Well, day 2 is just tasting. Everybody brings their rum. So you're going to meet people like you did, and you can speak to this and what it's like just to take your time, go around, take little sips. We're not, this is not college, and we're not doing this,
you definitely, word of advice, you absolutely have to pace yourself.
Yes.
Tiny sips, because
what are we doing? We're tasting.
Yes,
exactly.
That's what you're doing.
Developing palates, learning from different parts of the world.
First of all, if there's a rum you don't like, how much did you want to put in your mouth? Okay, so just a tiny bit, and then sometimes, oh my God, that's so fucking good. Let me have another sip. Okay, but no, you work your way around. You make sure that you sort of figure out, I made it halfway through, and it's only the end of the show. No, so you did it wrong. So, but pace yourself, have some lunch, have some water, and
definitely want water.
Right. And then, as you might remember too, what I did is I have a bar with a lot of different rums that weren't at the show, and I wanted to have them there, and I just bring them, and including a bunch of rums from my private collection. And I'll just while I'm talking about the rum collection. All right, so
there it is.
Oh,
there's some of it, and
now I just feel,
now I just feel silly.
Now I just feel terrible.
Yeah,
we need a bigger
feel silly.
But you know what? Like, if you want to taste the old Zacapa from the 90s, the Zacapa 23 in the little bottle with the patate, if you want to taste the old Ray and Nephew, or if you want to taste the old Lemon Heart, or if you want to taste the old Samarolis or early Mount Gays, or or some rare stuff that you just don't see very often from places like Mauritius or Madagascar or Suriname. I bring some interesting stuff. What we do is with those rather expensive rare rums, I have little $5 tickets. You remember this?
Yes.
And then those $5 goes to a local charity. And so
that's awesome.
What you're doing is you're paying $5 for a little sip, and it's benefiting a children's charity. So
yeah, that's cool.
That is very, very cool.
Yeah.
So okay, so before we go on much further, where can I go to find like tickets and information about the Rum Renaissance Festival? Is there a certain website?
Wow, is that a softball pitch or what? Yes.
Right?
Yes. You go. You can just go to rumrenaissance.com. If you can't spell Renaissance, you can go to miamirumfest.com.
You go.
So either way, it puts you in the same place. And it's real simple. You can see where we are. The seminars will take place at the Hyatt Regency in Coral Gables. Now, Coral Gables, if you don't know, it's a very nice little town, and it's full of restaurants and bars, and it's kind of upscale, nice architecture. So it's a really pretty part of Miami. Not every part of Miami is as pretty as Coral Gables, so we're in a nice neighborhood. And so we're at the Hyatt for the seminars, and then we're at the Women's Club, a really beautiful historic old building that has a sort of almost a castle kind of feel to it.
It does.
Yes.
That's where we went in 2019.
Yes.
Yeah. And then there's a cheap hotel across the street. There's a bunch of really expensive hotel. I mean, you have really no limit on hotels within, say, 2 miles. It's just an amazing amount of opportunities there. And so, you come a day early, hang out. There's usually some parties going on if you know somebody. And then there's people who come every year. Like there's a group of enthusiasts that call themselves Rum Buddies. And I don't know, did you meet these guys? Did you get to hang out? Because they'll all hang out at the pool, and everybody brings a bottle of rum, and it's just great. I mean, it's camaraderie with a capital C. And so, people sharing what they know, it's just so cool. So all of that is sort of there. There's a lot of regulars. People that come every year and wouldn't miss it. I wouldn't miss it. So
I love it. Yeah, it's going to be really fun. So that's November 12th and 13th. You guys can check out MiamiRumFest.com or RumRenaissance.com. Make sure that you guys check that out. If you guys are listening, you're interested in traveling down the end of this year, learning a lot about rum, getting to taste rums you would not be able to find in your own backyard.
You would not be able to find some of these.
Always a great way to do
Rob's talking about bringing some of his private collection of these rare rums that you won't find in your liquor store anywhere.
Now, one thing about your festival, and I don't know if you still do it or not, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought this was really interesting. We've been to other festivals and seen, but you actually have bottles for sale right there at the festival that a lot of these people can sell. If you find a rum you like, you actually don't need to travel somewhere else to purchase it, correct?
That's the point, is that a lot of people, like you'll have people like Scott French who come in from South Carolina, and on his way down and on his way back, he's stopping at liquor stores and he's on a mission. And so, like, for example, one year when Joy Spence had her Ode to Joy rum, it was about $300. It was I think Florida got the most of it of anywhere in the world. I think Florida had like 50 bottles. I don't know. And so I told the guys at Jensen's Liquors who have their shop at our festival, I said, buy as many bottles as the Ode to Joy rum as you can get. And they're like, I don't know, man, that's really expensive. I said, buy as many as you can get. Within a half an hour of the show opening, all the bottles were gone. And people were calling around liquor stores all, in South Florida, trying to see, could they get a bottle of it? I mean, so yeah, what we do is we try to have the guys at retail bring in some really nice stuff that maybe you can't get in your state. Florida has a great selection of rum.
Yes, they do.
Yep.
Yeah, and so there's that. And if you're flying, you can take 3 or 4 or 5 bottles. If you're driving, how big is your trunk? So that's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Now, a lot of these ones that you'll see here, behind me and stuff. I mean, we had a great advantage back in the 80s when one of you was in diapers, I'm sure, maybe,
well, no, he wasn't even a thought yet.
And one of you is probably still wearing diapers tonight, but I'm not going to say that.
Well, thank you, because
but we had the outrageous luck and happenstance to publish a magazine about scuba diving. Robin's a scuba diving instructor, and I wanted to publish a magazine, so we thought, well, scuba diving. So we traveled all around the world scuba diving, went to all the resorts. I mean, as far as you can think of, going to Borneo and New Guinea and New Caledonia and Fiji and Tahiti, everything you can think of. And guess what there is in these places?
Rum.
There's rum. So there's a sort of a ring of tropical climate around the world, and that's where the good scuba diving is. That's where the corals and the fish are, and that's where the rum is and where the sugarcane is. So we happen to just be lucky to be collecting rum everywhere we went. And I would say this, until about 2005 to 2010, you just couldn't find much rum in the United States.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably list on 10 fingers, the major brands that were in liquor stores.
Yep.
And that was it. And so you had to travel to the islands. You had to travel around the world to find rum. And when you did, it was a prize. And now it's gotten so much easier, I have to say. And that's one of the things that I saw in 2005. I thought it was time to publish a guide to rum and to get involved. And start cheerleading for rum. Yay, rum. Because rum was starting to show up.
Yes, absolutely. So that's a great segue. I did want to talk about Rob's Rum Guide.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're out there and you're wanting to learn a little bit more about the rum world, I think Rob actually has a fantastic book out there that is definitely worth reading.
It's not printed anymore. It doesn't make sense to
print it anymore. So you got to find it.
That's so
online.
What are you man?
Doing? The days of printing and delivering them all, and you know what? The furthest I could go is Palm Beach or Fort Pierce and Key West. I mean. So it wasn't like it was getting out to liquor stores all over the country.
Yeah.
And it was expensive to print, and so it just didn't make sense at a certain point. I think it was probably 2015 when we stopped printing it. But everything goes online, but I can tell you this, that it really made a difference for people to have a little small guide that would fit in your pocket. When I started off as a tiny little thing with 17 rums. I mean, it was like I found 17 rums that I would recommend. Now there's lots of rum out there, but I was being a little more picky at rums that I thought would make a great gift. And it originally started off as called the Gifted Rums Guide.
Okay.
And these were rums that I would recommend you give to your boss, 2 for yourself, like really just the best rums. Later on, I thought, you know what, I felt like I was a bit of an elitist. And I try not to be a rum snob. I believe every rum has value and a purpose. And so I just changed my whole attitude. I said, let's just learn about every rum and see if we can leave a few clues. Maybe we get it pretty right. What's the deal with this rum? Well, I met the guy that makes it and I saw what he did. And so here's what that is. So yeah, then it just rum exploded. Look at it. I mean, rum is just exploding. You would have to be, to actually collect all the rum that's out there now, you have to be a maniac.
Yes.
So true.
So true. So very
I mean,
true.
we thought we were making a stab, and then we see your shelf and we're like, holy crap, and you don't even have it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but what I've done is I have reached into categories and styles and tried to learn, so much from the Haitian Clarence to the cachaças of Brazil to the Rumverschnitt to the rums from Okinawa, Mauritius, Philippines, everything. And for me, like people ask me, what's your favorite rum? My favorite thing is to try to understand every rum. So you see like this reference library here, and this is an old photo, but for me, I want to try a new rum, take a sip, do some tasting notes, and put it on the shelf. I'm not going to pull that rum down every Friday night and have a big drink or anything. That's not what I do.
Yep, exactly.
I just want to know it and be able to speak intelligently about it. Hopefully meet the guy who made it, the family that made it, the girl who made it.
That is so cool.
And have visited their place.
Yes.
And that's my mission is to really understand it. I mean, you have things like there's a rum up here, Stroh rum. People go, what is the deal with that? Well, you know what? If you ever got caught in an alpine cabin in the winter and your fire goes out, you sure as hell want to have a bottle of that 160 proof Stroh rum. Do you have some?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. So
does
every rum have a purpose? Now, be careful. Don't let the children get close to it. Don't light a match. But you know what? And honestly, you know what the Europeans use it for? Here's Robin.
Hey, Robin.
Europeans use it for baking because it has all the tones for Christmas cake.
Yes,
yes.
We had heard that this was actually a German dessert rum.
Yep.
Yes.
Right.
And so we actually have the running kind of thing on this show that when you come to our bar and we have people visit, the price of admission to be able to sample whatever you want is you have to do a shot of Stroh 160, and then you're welcome to try anything you want.
You know what? That's a good way to weed out some people too, right? So
it is, and it has.
Here we are in the actual office now. You can see there's a paltry, 74 rums behind me. So it's not much, but with the interesting thing background, Robin tends to disappear.
Yeah. And it is Halloween coming, but
that's true.
It is Halloween.
I want to be a ghost.
Well, I see here we got a comment from Rob, your son, who we're going to have live next week talking about some cocktails. So he said there's technically no limit to how many bottles you can have in your luggage if they're below 17%. I have a question because I actually wasn't aware of this. Is there a limit to how many bottles you can be carrying?
Now it's actually, he's really smart, but it's 23%. But it also varies by country. But when you pay duty, let's just say you're going to bring a whole lot of rum back home, right? You pay duty on the proof of the rum at $2.37 per proof gallon. Well, guess what? It's once again math. No, the guys in customs don't want to do it. So guess what? Secret. All right, don't tell anybody. Just declare your rum. And say, I want to pay the duty, and they're going to go, get the hell out of here,
Now, basically, I used to go back and forth a lot to the Turks and Caicos Islands on business. We have a company down there that builds websites, and so there, I had a good relationship with a guy there, and he worked in a liquor store, and he was a rummy, and so we would trade bottles. So I would bring bottles down that he couldn't get, and he would send me back with stuff that was difficult to get here.
And that trading is a big part of collecting rum.
So I'm the rum mule
Right.
And I think that at one time I single-handedly carried about 30 bottles myself and my
Oh, wow.
yeah.
That,
So
I mean,
Yeah, I had one time.
What did
One
we
time
bring
down
back?
And I think that's what's funny too, is I was just thinking about our Rum Fest experience. So
down there
so when-
in Miami.
so when we came-
2019.
so when we
what
came-
did we bring back?
So when we went to Miami Rum Fest 2019, we brought a checked bag because we knew we were going to
We
bring
did.
back some rum,
We
right?
did.
We obviously knew
Right.
this. What we didn't expect is that we would actually fill the first
Oh yeah,
checked bag.
that was no problem.
And so literally the morning that we have to go to the airport, we drive over to the Walmart
Yes,
there. We buy another bag,
check bag.
and we check another bag
Bag.
to be able to bring it all back.
We've done that many times. And let me just mention here that the TSA gets nervous if you have more than 5 liters of rum in a bag. All right. So they have their rules, like they're just
Yep.
doing their job.
Yep.
It's not personal. But when you go on a rum cruise, there's no limit to how much rum you can bring back on the ship. So,
Okay, so
when you find a gold mine, you just buy it all.
Right.
yeah, so the people that live in Fort Lauderdale or
Yeah.
Florida and drive to get on the cruise ship
Right.
with us, and like us, I mean, it's easy for us to bring back whatever we want.
And we take
Right.
all sorts of luggage
But
that's
if you're-
not full.
But if
And
you're
then-
flying then from here somewhere, then you
Yeah, then
but-
you have to deal with
but then you
TSA.
have the advantage that you could go and ship it home.
You
if
could,
you
Right.
want.
so
you
so,
could
so
UPS
let's
it
talk.
for yourself.
So let's talk about this for just a moment.
Yeah.
We've kind of talked about the rum renaissance there in Miami, and those types of things.
Yeah, and the
right?
Rob's Rum Guide, right? But
And
then
Rob's Rum
you guys also have another level
Yes,
to take it up a notch for
They do.
people to be able to actually go to distilleries.
which I find is really. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Do you want to spill it?
I'm-
no. Okay, so I'm gonna jump in here. I'm just gonna say we're gonna talk about the rum cruise. Okay,
Right.
so actually when we were down there in 2019, my son was with us, and he was trying to talk me into, hey, let's get signed up for the rum cruise. I'm like, no, we can't do that yet. Okay, but because I didn't know what it was all about, and then talking with you guys, so what you do is you coordinate tours with the distillers that
Right.
are
Not
on
just
those
any-
islands that you
Yeah.
actually stop at.
Right.
And you go in as a group, you tour the facility, and you get to taste their rums and see the process and meet the distillers.
Right.
To me, that's crazy. That is so
Some
cool.
You get to blend your own rum.
Yeah. No.
And it's not easy, you guys. People
Well-
think, you just throw some stuff together, it's going to taste
No.
great.
It gives
It's-
you a healthy respect
Yeah.
for great rum blenders. When you try to blend your own, it's like, yeah, wow. I'm using the same rum she uses, and my blend tastes meh, But I'll tell you what's really cool here, this total immersion thing, right? Where now Robin and I, we've been scuba divers for all of our life. We don't go on cruises, except for the fact that if 25 people go on a rum themed cruise, they take care of you, you eat like a king. I mean, all those things about the cruise, right? And you hang out every night with your friends, but you get off of that boat at 8:30 in the morning and you got 2 vans and they're taking you to distilleries. Now we know the distillers, so we get that VIP tour, but you could do this yourself if you're just on your own. You can find a tour somewhere, but we really get in there and of course, meet the master blenders, and they, some days they're like very happy to,
That's right.
because
Because you've
aren't
already,
you guys supposed to be working today? And they're like, oh, you guys are VIPs. Well,
yeah, because you've already developed those relationships. I mean,
Right.
you've already, paved that road to help, those
Right.
people get those tours into those distilleries and
right.
have those same experiences that you've had in the past.
And
Right?
Yeah.
in most cases, they're welcoming us back. And
Exactly.
we've all figured out how we work together.
And there's one distillery that really they had it's St. Lucia Distillery.
Yeah, fantastic.
And they are like one of the top-notch distilleries that we take people on a VIP tour, and they
Yeah.
do a PowerPoint presentation, and they show you all the rums from all the different stills. It's amazing. But the average person goes there and they just have a little tiki bar outside,
a little tasting,
and they would let
Right.
people taste all their flavored rums, which are amazingly good. But now, since we've been bringing the rum cruise people there, they're actually rebuilding the whole distillery to offer tours now.
Yeah,
As a
That's awesome.
Very cool.
That's incredible. Now, okay, so now we've talked about the rum cruise a little bit. Now we know the kind of the way the world is right now. We don't know really what the future is going to hold for the cruise lines and all this type of stuff. You know, so I mean, that is something that you're all looking into, is the rum cruise, you know, for this next season, right?
But when we get done with the rum festival, we'll look and find the best itinerary, and we still have to make a decision whether it feels safe.
Exactly.
But eventually it's going to come back no matter what, you know.
Yep. So there just might be a little bit of a wait for that to come out and have more information, right?
Or also, if you're not feeling that March or April is good for you, wait till next year, because you know we'll probably do it again. I don't see why we wouldn't do it. And also, we used to always do the rum festival in May and do the rum cruise in November. Now, one disadvantage of that was that there's no cane cutting in November. Cane season tends to be January, February through, say, June. And so when we go in March and April, you're going to be able to get out there and you know, it's like going to the South and saying, "Can I pick some cotton?" You know, like, so like you can go out there and they'll give you a machete and you can cut some cane and crush it. That's, you know, cool. And so it's a different thing. And also, like, sometime around June, they'll have their celebrations when the crop is done. For example, Barbados crop over, and it's just a month of like celebration, you know, one of those kind of things.
So even if we don't do the rum cruise next year, one of the things we're thinking about is taking people to Martinique. Because there's 11 distilleries in Martinique. So you can easily, if you stayed for a week in Martinique,
5-6 days,
you could visit
2 distilleries a day, and some incredible food and beautiful
distilleries a day. If you stay 5 or 6 days,
it's heaven. What it is. So
why do we live in Iowa again? Why is this a thing?
And that's what I'm saying. The tractors here are not pulling their weight.
What is going on?
Well, no, but
speaking of ag, I hope, you know, that things get better for people, and I do want to say, I hope everybody can recover from Hurricane Ian, because it's really hit.
Gosh, yes,
absolutely.
I know that
our thoughts and prayers are with everybody out there.
And I know you guys were slightly affected, and luckily for you guys, it wasn't as bad as a lot of other people had it, and so I'm grateful for that. And that obviously was just a crazy turn, and we never want that to happen. But you know,
I'm seeing photos of citrus, you know, orange groves that are just gone,
flooded or gone.
So get some orange juice now, because the price of orange juice is going to go sky high.
Put some freeze. And you know, we're sort of used to hurricanes hitting coastal towns, but we've had a few now that have just gone right up through Florida and affected everybody in the state, and then North Carolina, and you know, so you know, it's tough. Some of these ones run all the way up the coast to Canada, you know, and but it's really tough. But you know, maybe what you can do is just like what we do is every chance we get, we run around to some more Florida distilleries, and it's just so delightful to meet these people, and they're, you know, and they're happy to see us. We want to tell their story and get to know them and really try the rum and encourage them.
Go on Rob's Rum Guide and see how many distilleries there are in Iowa, because I know we have them.
Yes, we have our handful here, and we got more popping up, and that's the cool part, is seeing it grow here. And
we actually have a really good one.
We have Cedar Ridge, don't you?
What was that?
Cedar Ridge.
Yes, we have Cedar Ridge.
Cedar Ridge.
You know, I think
there's a great family, nice people. They have a winery, of course, too, and a distillery.
And they do a great job out there. They've got a really great facility and everything. We were a little hard on their rum if you watch our reviews on that. So, don't watch out for us. But, you know, I think the thing is they're very whiskey based. They're carrying in a rum. I think they got some stuff to learn, but I'm glad they're getting into it.
I think their whiskey is fantastic.
Yeah.
You know?
the father and son came and visited us here at the rum bar at our house. And they were very interested to really learn more about other people's rum. And that's smart. You know, you can't make rum in a bubble.
Agreed.
No.
Things I did is I showed them a rum that was rested in what was it, Robin?
Chardonnay,
Tawny port. I think it was
Tawny port.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they were like, the son looked at the dad and said, "We make port." And I'm like, well, you know what? Experiment. Go back and put some rum in a port barrel.
Yep.
And then I saw them at Tales of the Cocktail about 9 months later. And they were like, "Shh, come over here. Look, under the table. You're getting the first bottle of our port cast rum." And I was like, "Oh, God bless you, man. That's fantastic." You know, and so, hey, look, they're learning. Everybody's learning.
Yes, exactly.
And you take what you got and you see what you can do. You know?
And that's one thing in our early years, we used to be a little hard on some companies and stuff, but we had a lot to learn along the way too. And that's why we've shifted gears a little bit. We got away from the ratings, more shifted into what they're actually doing. Because the thing is that we don't know it all. They don't know it all. We're all learning. And so we're not out to do that. So that's one thing that we changed a little bit, because we're never trying to do that to anybody. We want to encourage people to be experimenting, you know, and
even
growing.
if it's a rum that we do not care for, we always try and encourage people. Go get it yourself. Go try it yourself.
You like it.
Your opinion.
Or you know what you do? What and we did the same thing, because we felt like we were elitist. We said, well, here's the story of this rum.
Mm-hmm.
And you try to get it right, and maybe it's the rum for somebody. I mean, you know, also we know that our tastes change.
Exactly.
Like when we first tasted Thomas II rum or Privateer, we were like, okay, guys, keep trying, you know, but you know what? It's all in context.
Exactly.
You live in the town and you sip on that stuff and you go, I like that, you know. So I try really, I get a hard time for this from some people for not being a snob. And people are like, oh, that rum sucks. This rum sucks. I'm like, well, you don't understand that rum. Oh, you're full of shit, you know, whatever. So okay. You don't see me criticizing a lot of rums. You see me trying to help and trying for me to understand them.
Right.
Maybe help somebody else understand.
Makes the rum, because maybe that's what they like.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. I would say, out of all the rum we've criticized, there's only one rum that deserved to be criticized, and we got it right. And that was John Hasbrouck's Simple White, his first round before he reinvented it with the Uncle John's cut.
The Uncle John's
and
cut.
he made it amazing. And he made it absolutely incredible.
You know what? John is great about taking criticism.
Oh, he is.
He was amazing.
Do that.
I mean, believe it or not, I mean, John actually put our review of his Simple White on his website. So if nothing else, that should tell you right there that John is an honest man.
Yep.
Fair and balanced.
Honest man.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I forgive me because I obviously came in late, but you know, we're doing seminars on Saturday this year. We're bringing back our seminar day, and it is cane to glass.
Yeah, we talked about it a lot.
You did.
So,
okay. All right. Because that's, I think, for people that are really interested in the whole rum production.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And again, for anybody that's just now joining us, they're going to be having those seminars on November 12th. And then the tasting is going to be November 13th.
That's right.
Right.
Rumrenaissance.com
or MiamiRumFest.com.
Don't forget the .com.
I forgot .com. No wonder I couldn't find it the other day. Dang
American Rum Fest. We own all the Rum Fest things, you know.
Robin is the domain. So
we even own Rum is Fun.
Yeah, there you go.
So definitely go get your tickets now, because they will be sold out.
Yeah, they'll sell out. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. So
the tickets are discounted until November 1st. So and the truth is, a lot of people don't know if they're coming till the last minute, and that's okay, you know. But if you know you're coming, if you're planning ahead, if you got a hotel room, you know, go ahead and get your tickets early for the discounted price.
Well, I think it sounds like a fantastic event. You know, you're offering a good educational experience along with the following day of a good rum tasting.
Yep.
From many different distillers.
You're going to learn a lot. You're going to develop your palate. Yes. You're going to meet some great people.
I think it's, you know, we've been to a couple of rum festivals, and everyone is a little bit different. The one thing I really do like about yours is the education, the variety of companies that are at your rum festival,
and the purchasability,
right
at there, right at the festival.
Yes, right there. So if
you hit on something too, and that is that it's like a high school reunion if you went to high school with just rum people. And so every time you see each other, there's that wonderful camaraderie level that adds to the whole experience.
Family.
Yeah,
everybody,
it's but you know, like for example, seeing you guys in person, if you guys come, it's just going to be a nice little jolt of fun to see you guys in person and maybe share a drink or something. And you know, that camaraderie thing is a big thing.
It is.
It is. It's a huge thing. So here's the question, Robert, how many thumbs up do we have on this?
Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me do math. All right, let me just calculate. Hold on. Let me just bring it back. I'm using the abacus. We don't have updated.
I know
updated
the technology
stuff.
here at this bar is lacking.
We have 11.
We have 11. Okay, so I'm just kind of curious, how many thumbs up could we get if we said that maybe we were actually going to be at the Rum Renaissance Festival there on November 12th and November 13th, both days.
Are you trying to set a number?
I'm trying to set a number. I'm thinking, you know, maybe we could get 20 thumbs ups.
20 thumbs ups, and we'll be there for sure.
Well, I'm not. I'm just saying that
you got to make a definitive decision, man. Drink some more rum and make the decision. All right.
Well, we're going to be 2 thumbs up for you. So, you know,
there it is. We got to get the thumbs ups up to 20. We got to get them. Obviously, got to get more thumbs ups then if we're going to be at the Miami Rum Renaissance Festival. I mean, so 20 thumbs up
right there. There you go.
I love it. So I love John.
This is our 13th annual, you guys.
Yeah, lucky 13th
annual,
which is going to be. I honestly, man. I know it's so much fun.
I really don't want to miss it.
So
I really don't.
We have some good conversations going in here. John is going in here. I love this. So he brought up he made a special concoction of rum. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It's a rum I know you never had, which is the pickle and hot dog rum that they made.
Hilarious.
Yes, which. I'm hearing 20 thumbs up and they take a shot of that bottle. I'm not thinking so. No. We're never opening this bottle ever again.
Never again.
So I don't think we're gonna get that.
John
I found a rum bar in New Orleans that had a small snake, a cobra, and a scorpion in a bottle of rum.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, you know, just people go crazy. One of the big things that's really popular in the islands, people will take their overproof rum and sometimes it's a little bit rough, you know, whoever's cousin they got it from, you know, and put the fruit in it, bury it in the side yard and wait till Christmas or somebody has a baby or whatever, then, you know, pull that out. And that's just an old tradition in the islands to share that sort of stuff, you know, or to spill a little on the doorway to scare away the duppies or, you know. There's all sorts of wonderful traditions.
I love it. That's amazing. So I'm gonna hit a few things here, guys. Some housekeeping for y'all. We've obviously got Robert and Robin Burr from the Miami Rum Renaissance Festival. If you guys are looking for some more information on that festival, you got the rumrenaissance.com or the miamirumfest.com. You guys can check out some more information there. They've got the Rum Cruise, Rob's Rum Guide. You've got Rum Minutes on YouTube doing some reviews there. So you definitely got to check out some of the stuff they're putting
definitely
out.
Check out the Rum Minutes.
Absolutely.
He's got some good information there.
At this point, right?
Rum Minute is like, I think the longest one was 2 minutes and 10 seconds. I mean, so
it keeps it brief, keeps it fast.
You get in and out quick.
We're just talking all the time, and pretty much the other 8 minutes of us talking is us talking about nonsense. But we just have fun, right?
We do.
Royer has committed to, if we get to 20 thumbs ups, we're apparently going to Miami Rum Fest. I don't know. That's what I've heard. That's just a rumor I've heard.
We're gonna have.
We're
going to have to make special accommodations for the paparazzi that's going to follow.
So that obviously is on the table. We haven't made a decision, but maybe you guys' thumbs ups can get it there. Make sure you give it a thumbs up. Check out them. We appreciate it. Next week, we're actually going to have Rob Burr, who is the son of Robert and Robin, right?
He's going to help us make some cocktails.
He's going to help us make some cocktails and learn a little bit more.
He has been trained by some of the world's best bartenders
in the world,
right?
So he's going to be joining us next week on the live. So make sure that you guys come back for that as well.
The Rum Scout, you know,
the Rum Scout. I love it. I absolutely love it. So he's been chatting away in the chat tonight. So if you guys have been here, you obviously have had the chance to talk with him as well. So I appreciate everybody joining on. I didn't see anything much. I hope I didn't miss any questions. If I did, you got a second here to get them back in. If I did, but I just
wait a second. What is he doing on this Zoom? He's supposed to be doing all the Instagram posts for us.
Hey, what's going on with
slacking?
I don't know.
I'm here to call people out.
I'm not
slacking.
Yeah, he does a great job for us. He does all the social media, and it's really good.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Really brilliant and so good looking. I mean, other than that, but
that's why we have Royer, the good looking one, because
there
otherwise nobody would show up to these things if we didn't have a looker on the screen, right? So that's what we do. So
Rob will make some good drinks next week. So
yeah, but he inspires, and he'll give you some formulas, and and it's all about finding what you like and trying interesting stuff.
Yep,
absolutely. So we're super excited about that.
Very, very excited. I think we're gonna have some fun cocktails that we're gonna be producing there.
Yes,
and we're really looking forward to it.
Brings up the point also, if you ever get a chance, let's say you're traveling to Paris or New York or Seattle or whatever, and there's really great bar there, where somebody really, really takes it to the nth degree.
Right.
You really owe it to yourself. Now, mostly I sip rum to understand it, but I can tell you that some of the world's greatest bartenders, it's just a love fest. I mean, they're standing 4 feet, 3 feet from you, and they're making you a fabulous drink and putting it right in front of you. And it's a work of art, and you just fall in love.
And don't forget, I know I don't want to keep everybody, but don't forget about Tiki Cocktails, because that's one of the few cocktails in the world that mixes rums together.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
That's that.
You don't mix whiskeys or vodkas, but
they don't get along.
Gross.
Have 5 different rums in it. So
isn't that funny too? I mean, like the vodkas, they don't seem to get along. The whiskeys and bourbons, they don't get along. But you know what? The rums do. The rums get along with each other.
And that's because rum brings everyone together, because rum is fun. It makes a community of great people. And that's why this industry is the best and most fun rum industry in all the world.
That's right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And it's just getting crazier. It's getting more and more interesting all the time. I mean, it's just a full-time job to try to keep up with rum guys. Yep. I mean, back in the day, I could do it with one hand tied behind my back. Now it's really a full-time thing.
Yeah,
crazy.
So many American rums and so many expressions from all the old rum companies. It's fantastic.
So, all right. So I know we're a little past the mark here. We're keeping people up past their bedtime. So I just want to thank you guys for joining us.
So much
for having us.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. We're super excited to have you here, learn a little bit more about what it is you guys are doing. From where we learned to be able to come here, we appreciate you guys so much for that.
And who knows, maybe we will show up down there in Miami.
We will. I think we're at 35 thumbs ups.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you again.
Thank you very much.
It is a lot of fun, and thank you for proving once again that I can talk about rum for 7 minutes without taking a breath. And
absolutely.
Maybe it's 11 and a half minutes. I don't know.
Oh, I love it.
That's awesome.
I'll beat you out next week.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. Thank you guys so much. We're going to wrap up here tonight. Thank you guys for joining us and enjoying a little bit more about rum. This was really, really fun. With that, we're going to close it out here with Royer's famous statement. Royer, let's get everyone home safe.
Always drink responsibly. Never drink and drive. And no rums were harmed during the making of this video.
Not at all. See you later, guys.
Take care.